Hello everyone, we have finally made it to the end of Unit 1 Part 2 and we're in Lesson 8.2 Part 2. Today's notes are going to be back in your Springboard book on page 92 and you're definitely going to want a pencil, possibly a highlighter, and a calculator as well to keep track. So we've talked a lot so far about slope, and then we have also talked about writing the lines, equations of lines for parallel and perpendicular lines. So a reminder, just to kind of review some stuff from the past couple of days, we have a line here, BD, this segment here, but officially could be extended to be a line. And the equation of that line is given right here. And we want to start by identifying the slope and the y-intercept. So we know the slope is going to be our m value, so negative 2/3. And our y-intercept is, where's this located at? Well, 0, 4 is going to be the location of our y-intercept. And you can see it on this graph here. And we could see that also we're decreasing 2, running 3, decreasing 2, running 3. So we can also kind of see that slope in action as well. Now, the next piece says, based on our conjectures from previous lesson, what do we think about line JM? Do we think it's going to be parallel, perpendicular, or neither to the line we have here? Well, just looking at JM, you're probably thinking, well, this looks pretty parallel to BD because they both seem to have that decreasing slope. They're not intersecting. And in fact, we could see that it is also decreasing 2, running 3, decreasing 2, running 3 each time. So we would say that they would be parallel because the slope of JM is also negative 2/3 each time. Now the difference here is the slope, and the slope may be the same, but our y-intercept is going to be a little bit different because obviously it's not touching the graph at 4, it's touching our graph at 6. So this time its equation, while it's still going to have that negative 2/3 x, it's going to be plus 6 because the y-intercept is touching our graph here at 0, 6. Okay. Now, we know that JM and RJ are perpendicular to each other. And so what that would mean is that RJ, in order to be perpendicular to what the slopes we've been talking about, would have to be rising 3 and running 2 each time. So if we look at RJ, here's RJ. It would be rising 1, 2, 3, running 2. So it would form that right angle here because it's perpendicular. And we can verify that because a reminder that if we have opposite reciprocals, they're going to multiply to be -1. So we can verify that these are in fact opposite reciprocals, the flipped sign and the flipped fraction. So again, negative versus positive, flipped fraction there. Now, we've also talked a lot about writing the equations of the line, and currently we are given line n here. And notice line n is going through a y-intercept of 2. And if we want to draw in another line here that we're going to call P, we want it to be parallel to line n, but it's going to pass through a different point than these do. Well, first and foremost, we need to figure out what is the slope of our new line P. Well, the slope of the new line is going to be the same as the slope of the line we want it to be parallel to, since we're looking for parallel. So we have two options here. We can either do the slope formula, or we can just count what is my rise, what is my run. So I have to rise 1, 2, and run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 units to get to my other point. So if I'm rising 2, running 16, that's a slope of 1/8. And again, a line parallel is going to have that exact same slope because we want it to rise and run the same amount. Now, using our PAL point slope form that we talked about the other day, so here's point slope form, we talked about how we can take the point and we can take the slope and plug it in order to solve again into y-intercept form. So we're going to take the slope and plug that in, and then we're going to take our x and our y values, so 3 and -2, and plug that in. So if we simplify this up a little bit, it ends up being y minus 3 equals 1/8 x plus 2, because minus a negative. Now, from here, we want to rewrite this, though, into slope-intercept form. So just as we did the other day, we're going to have to simplify this by distributing. So we have y minus 3 equals 1/8 x, and then 2 times 1/8 is 1/4. And then if we add the 3 to the other side, it's not pretty, but 1/2 plus 3 is either 3.25, or, excuse me, 1/4 plus 3, or if we want to turn this into a fraction, math frac gives us 13/4. So either way you write this, either 3.25 or 13/4. Here's our answer back in slope-intercept form. Now our next example wants us to draw in a new line that is perpendicular to line N and passes through a different point entirely. So we just said on the last page that line N had a slope of 1/8, and a line parallel to that would also have a slope of 1/8, but a line perpendicular to that needs to flip the sign so that it's no longer positive, but it's now negative, and then we need to flip the fraction, so 1/8 becomes 8/1. So again, we need the opposite reciprocal slope. Now, if we take that value and plug it into our point slope form, we're now going to have -8 as the slope, and this time our point is going to be -9, 7. So -9 is our x, 7 is our y. And make sure that we simplify this. We have y minus 7 equals -8, and then minus a negative turns into plus 9. So here's point slope form. Now ideally, though, we want to simplify this so that we can have slope-intercept form. So we'll have to distribute that -8 so that we get -8x minus 72. And then last but not least, add the 7 to both sides. So -72 plus 7 is -65. So this would be our equation in slope-intercept form. All right, try this next example on your own. You should have gotten that again. If we are looking for perpendicular slope to our slope, we are again going to use that -8. And in our point slope format, we're going to plug in y, and we're going to plug in the slope and x. So again, here's x and y that are getting plugged in. So 0 and 8. And then when we distribute, what we're going to notice is we have y minus 0, so that's just going to be y equals, and then -8x plus 64. All right, we will work more with this in class, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Congratulations on finishing Unit 1, Part 2.